Alright guys, back at it again. And this time we got a review for James Cameron's new Avatar movie, Avatar: Fire and Ash. Yes, so I got to see the new Avatar finally. Got to see it on Monday in IMAX. My first IMAX movie in quite a while, actually. I don't typically do the IMAX route, but the original I saw years after. Really enjoyed that movie. Loved the story of Neytiri and Jake, and then the second movie, Way of the Water, I did not like as much, but I still enjoyed it, and obviously visually stunning, but I enjoyed the family dynamic that they brought in with Neytiri and Jake, and just their kids and stuff. I really enjoyed that. But now going into this movie, I was like, okay, we're introducing a new clan. This is obviously many years later, so I'm sure that obviously the visuals are going to be even more eye-popping. So Neytiri and Jake and their family is still living with the Medicina, or the Reef people, at this point, or the Reef clan, however you want to go about it. So there's a lot of names and stuff to learn in these movies. It's a big world. But they're also dealing with the loss of their kid from the previous movie, and who's to put the blame on. There's a lot of family dynamics with that. You still have Kiri, who is trying to figure out her whole connection with the All-Mother. And on top of that, we have who continues to be the main antagonist. Head of operations, Miles Cordich. I always say his name wrong, but I know it's Miles. But he's still pretty much the main villain in this movie. But they do introduce a new clan, the Ash Clan. The Ash Clan, headed by Varang, who's this new antagonist, is part of this ruthless group. Varang is played by Oona Chaplin, I believe her name. I mean, I'll put her up there. Probably pronounced her name wrong, but from Game of Thrones is what most people would know her from. And you also have, you have Stephen Lang's character as well as Varang, kind of working together. I believe that's shown in the trailer, so I don't think that's, like I said, much of a spoiler, but and they're trying to take out the Navi people, and they're also trying to, take their way of life, essentially. But yeah, so that's where we're kind of at. Unfortunately, well, actually, let's start here. So, James Cameron, we're just going to get into the positives. James Cameron, visually, I mean, this movie, especially if you see an IMAX, is visually great. I mean, it's visually stunning. Every YouTuber, every critic you hear is going to say that, because there's no way around that. The movie looks great. It's magical what he's able to do. With the past movie and this movie, just some of the most beautiful visuals you'll ever see. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. And if you love stuff like that, which I don't know who would, but who wouldn't, I should say. It's definitely it's eye-popping. I definitely would recommend probably seeing it in IMAX. But yeah, we'll get to that. But anyways, another thing I love about these movies in general is the family dynamic and the importance of family, but also working through your problems. A lot of this movie is Jake and his son kind of working through their issues, but then you also have Spider, who's kind of the adoptive son in a way, the human, who is dealing with obviously his real dad, as well as dealing with Neytiri and her issues with being close with him because of him being human. So I always enjoy that stuff, always, because I really enjoy these characters. I will say, I have a lot of issues with this movie, and we will get into them, and honestly, I would probably never watch this movie again outside of having to do it for this, so probably will have to watch this movie again at some point, but it's just, it's frustrating, but I'll get to it. But the family dynamic stuff, I just really enjoy. I think they do a great job of making you care for these characters, and they're just very relatable. Really plays on the human side of you, especially if you grew up with I wouldn't say big family, but like decent sized family, and just all the inner workings of it and all the details, and I also really always liked, one of the biggest things I liked about the first movie and what was to come was Jake and Neytiri. Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana. Zoe Saldana is awesome, and I always really enjoyed their chemistry. I enjoyed their relationship and continuing that as these movies go along. I really have enjoyed that along the way. But outside of that, I do like the introduction of the Ash people and like Varang. I think she's very well done. I think it's a really good performance by Oona. She does a really good job of playing this vicious leader. And when they first introduced them, I'm like, wow, this is really impactful. And I was hoping, it was going to get away from like the humans being the main threat. But unfortunately, them versus humans is still a huge thing of this. Granted, it's not just them. But the Ash people, the introduction I thought was great. And what they continued through some of the movie, I was on board with. Unfortunately, when we get to the negatives, they're just totally wasted in the latter half of the movie, which sucks, because I think the introduction is a really good job. I think it's a really cool idea. I really like Varang. I thought she was one of the more interesting characters in this movie, but we just didn't quite do enough. Her ruthlessness, as awesome as it was, like from a character standpoint, as an antagonist, I would say the human's intelligence, or even Stephen Lang's character's intelligence, Miles, almost worked against her, and it almost made me feel less about that character, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. Those are the big things. Visuals, family dynamic, and some of the Ash people stuff I thought was really good in the movie. And it sucks because let's just go ahead. We're getting into the negatives. I have a decent bit of negatives, in which let me just say this. This is not a bad movie. It's not bad. It's just a lot of retread. If you've seen The Way of Water, if you've seen that movie, you're going to see a lot of the same stuff. Yes, they add the Ash Clan, so that's another antagonist versus what they had before. But it's really, the Reef people and Neytiri and Jake's family versus people, really. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You also have, I guess, the Tolkien, the whales. I know they're not considered whales, but that's what they look like, giant whales. But they're called Tolkien. We also dive into that a little bit more as far as like acceptance and going to war versus not going to war. And that's really debated back and forth throughout this movie. But I thought a lot of the Tolkien stuff was really boring. There's a large portion of this movie that's just boring. And it's mostly because you've seen it before. The people are a continued threat, and by the end, there's a huge battle against the people. And even the steps along the way is just kind of continued stuff they had from the second movie. Stuff I do like that they continue to be like Kiri and her, the All Mother stuff. I enjoyed that stuff, but for the most part, like, Miles as the main villain just doesn't really work for me in this movie. There's a lot of weird comedy that just doesn't land at all, and he has a bunch of weird one-liners that I don't think work. This is the first movie where I was like, he really outstayed his welcome. I mean, you appreciate the father-son dynamic with him and Spider-Boy, or what they're trying to do with it, but I just can never get there. And then we have the people trying to hunt down the tokens, and I'm just never really on board with that either. A lot of the storylines are just repeated. But yes, I know it's not like every beat for beat thing is the same, but it's the same general story. There's not much change to it, and I just need more than that. And when you're sitting me down for 3 hours and 15 minutes, which is crazy, I'm not against long movies, but you better keep them interesting, and you better keep me invested. I thought the last battle was so boring. I couldn't believe how boring it was. I was just so over the whole people versus the naive, and I just like, I know we're gonna get more of that, and that's never gonna probably ever go away. But can we just make it more interesting? Like it's just like a lot of the characters have the same issues they had before. I don't know. I get really annoyed when the story is just, wash, rinse, repeat. Like we need better. I get it. The visuals are amazing, but tell me something different. Tell me something new. Give me something to keep me invested when I'm watching a 3 hour plus movie. It sucks because I really, really liked the first movie. I would actually go back to that movie. I think these movies have gotten worse as they go on. White Lotter is a bit more enjoyable because that story was somewhat, to an extent, fresh for that movie. But when you introduce, or when you do another movie, you can't just keep doing the same thing. I mean, the ending feels so similar to the last movie. Especially, the ending is such a boring ending. There's a lot of action going on, and I just don't care, and that's unfortunate. As much as I do like the characters, and I do care about some of the characters, as far as the story goes, I don't care, so it kind of, just takes the fact that I like the characters out, which is really unfortunate. Another problem I had, the way they treat the Ash Clan in the second half of this movie is just crazy. The pairing with the humans it's just terribly done. They make the Ash people as a secondary antagonist, and they make Varang seem so weak. I was really invested because her and Neytiri have a thing as far as going back and forth. Obviously, one's protagonist, one antagonist, but I really enjoyed that. But the problem is that that she was so secondary by the final act that I just didn't care, and that sucks because I would have preferred the Ash Clan been the main thing. Honestly, I think it would have been more interesting. But they didn't go that route, and I just feel like the Ash Clan just was there for filler. There for something else has been introduced. So, yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was really, really unfortunate, and yeah, I just was hoping more for the clan in general, and just the way it was set up was well done, but then slowly but surely, it just didn't do much for me. But yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on Avatar, Fire and Ash. As far as grading goes, So obviously you know my new system maybe you know my new system if you followed my last video. It's either, so the 5 levels are must-watch, fun/theater experience, watchable, can wait for streaming, and skip. In most of the Avatar movies, you'd think fun/theater experience, but I just didn't have as much fun for this movie, which really sucks. I was hoping to have more fun, it just never materialized. But we are gonna go watchable. I definitely didn't really enjoy this movie, but like I definitely think if you're going or you want to see it in theaters, because that's the type of movie it is. I don't feel like, because like letting it go to streaming doesn't make much sense to me. It's a movie that you should see in theaters if you're going to see it, or like the Avatar movies. And I feel like if you like the Avatar movies, you're still going to get a decent amount out of this movie. As far as for me, watchable. It's fine. It's on the lesser end of the watchable side for me, because I wouldn't want to watch this movie again unless I have to for the channel, which will probably happen. Whenever the next one, what's the next one? 2029, something way down the road. The problem for this movie, it is watchable because it's visually stunning and the family stuff, but it is a 3-hour movie. I mean, that's tough for a lot of people. I love movies and I'm okay with them being long, but if it's a movie I don't enjoy and it's long, it's tough, man. But if you enjoy these Avatar movies, I definitely suggest going to see it in theaters, because that's the way to see it. But yeah, watchable. This movie was okay. It's not bad. It's just wasn't really for me, and just not really what I was hoping for. But with that being said, definitely watchable. Not bad by any means. So yeah, guys, that's my review for Avatar: Fire and Ash. Next movie I'm gonna go see. I know it's technically already out, but I am gonna go see Marty Supreme. So there will be a review out for that. Hopefully this week. Maybe next week at some point. We'll see. We also have my most anticipated movies coming out soon. We have my top 10 films of the year. But yeah, plenty of videos, plenty of excitement still to come. And I'm really excited for Marty Supreme. Timothy Chalamet to me is as good as it gets right now. And I still want to continue to root for, so we'll see how that movie is. Definitely has piqued my interest, especially we've got Oscar season in full effect as we're coming. Well, the summer will be ending soon, so and then we got some interesting movies coming out in January. But yeah, that was my review for Avatar: Fire and Ash, and as always, guys, I'll see you next time.